First contact and the coming storm. Commander Elena Reyes stared at the holographic display floating above the situation table, her eyes burning from lack of sleep. The massive alien warship had appeared without warning, materializing just beyond lunar orbit, where no human sensors had detected its approach. 36 hours had passed since first contact, and Earth's Provisional Unified Defense Command was still trying to process what was happening. "Status of the Harmony delegation?" she asked, her voice steady despite the tension knotting her shoulders. Lieutenant Asif Khan looked up from his console. "Still in closed diplomatic session, Commander. The Harmony representatives seem as surprised by the new arrival as we are." Elena nodded. 3 months ago, the arrival of the Harmony Federation vessel had changed everything. The tall, crystalline aliens with their melodic speech and advanced technology had offered Earth membership in their interstellar coalition, a peaceful trading network spanning hundreds of worlds. The technology exchange alone had accelerated human development by an estimated 50 years overnight. And now this. "The unknown vessel is transmitting," announced Communications Officer Wei. "System-wide broadcast. Put it through," Elena ordered. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a being so different from the elegant Harmony representatives that several officers gasped. The alien's skin was dark gray and heavily armored, with multiple yellow eyes arranged asymmetrically across what might be called a face. When it spoke, its mandibles clicked and vibrated in patterns that the hastily configured translation software struggled to interpret. "People of Earth, I am War Commander Drac of the Kraz Dominion. Your world has been marked for integration into our empire. The presence of Harmony Federation assets in your system is a violation of territorial boundaries established in the settlement of Rigel. You have 48 Earth hours to expel all Harmony personnel and prepare for Kraz administrative oversight. Resistance will result in demonstration strikes against population centers." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Admiral Hernandez, the highest-ranking officer present, cleared his throat. "Get me the Harmony delegation immediately." Ambassador Lyerthal's crystalline form seemed to shimmer with distress as he addressed the emergency session of Earth's Security Council. Representatives from every major nation sat in shocked silence as the Harmony diplomat explained the situation. "The Kraz Dominion is an expansionist empire controlling approximately 1/8 of the galaxy's inhabited systems," Lyerthal's translator conveyed. "They believe in a philosophy of forced integration, subjugating species they deem useful, while eliminating those they consider irredeemably primitive or dangerously unpredictable." "And which category do they place us in?" asked the Chinese president, her face carefully neutral. The Harmony ambassador's crystalline structure flickered in what Elena had come to recognize as discomfort. "Unknown. Likely the latter, given your rapid technological development and your—" He paused. "Unique evolutionary history." "Unique how?" pressed the Russian Federation representative. "Most spacefaring species evolved in environments with limited predation pressure and resource competition," Lyerthal explained. "Humans are unusual. You evolved as prey animals who became apex predators through tool use and cooperative behavior. Your neurological reward systems are heavily weighted toward risk-taking and pattern recognition. This makes humans—" Another pause. "Unpredictable." "Ambassador," Elena spoke up from her position against the wall, "will the Harmony Federation defend Earth against this Kraz Dominion?" The crystalline alien's colors shifted to deeper blues. "The Federation Council has authorized me to provide defensive technology packages and strategic intelligence. However, our charter explicitly prohibits direct military intervention in conflicts involving non-member worlds." The room erupted in angry shouts until Admiral Hernandez slammed his hand on the table. "That's enough. Ambassador, you're saying we're on our own." "Not entirely," Lyerthal countered. "I am authorized to provide technical specifications for our defensive systems and sensor arrays. Additionally, I can share strategic intelligence on Kraz tactics and capabilities. But no ships, the admiral stated flatly. No troops. That is correct. The Secretary General of the United Nations leaned forward. Ambassador, we appreciate what assistance you can provide. But I must ask, if Earth falls to the Kraz, what happens to the rest of the galaxy? Lyrithal's colors pulsed with solemn reds. The Dominion will continue its expansion. Already 12 systems have fallen in the past decade. Harmony Federation projections suggest they will control half the galaxy within 2 centuries unless stopped. Why don't you stop them? Demanded the American president. The Federation was founded on principles of non-intervention and peaceful exchange. Lyirthal replied. Our member species abandoned warfare millennia ago. We lack both the military capacity and the cultural imperative to engage in direct conflict. Elena felt a cold realization settle over her. So we're the test case, she said quietly, but loud enough to be heard. You're watching to see if we can stop them because you can't, or won't. The Harmony Ambassador's colors shifted rapidly. That is not an entirely inaccurate assessment, Commander Reyes. 18 hours after the Kraz ultimatum, Earth received its first demonstration of what resistance would mean. The Mars Research Colony, home to 5,000 scientists and engineers, disappeared in a flash of light visible from Earth's surface. The Kraz weapon had somehow bypassed the hastily erected shields based on Harmony technology, vaporizing the colony and a significant portion of the Martian surface beneath it. Elena stood in stunned silence at Mars Command as live feeds from orbital telescopes showed the smoldering crater where humanity's first extraterrestrial settlement had been. Beside her, Dr. Sanjay Kapoor, Earth's leading xenotechnology researcher, watched with tears streaming down his face. His daughter had been stationed at the colony. How? Elena whispered. We implemented the shield designs exactly as provided. The Kraz have been fighting Harmony technology for centuries, Sanjay replied, his voice hollow. They've developed countermeasures we couldn't anticipate. The command center door slid open, and Admiral Hernandez entered, his face grim. The Security Council has reached a decision. We're not surrendering. Elena turned to him. Sir, with all due respect, did you see what just happened? We don't have the technology to fight conventionally. No, Hernandez interrupted. But conventional warfare isn't the only option. Dr. Kapoor, I need your team to analyze everything we have on Kraz technology. Commander Reyes, effective immediately, you're heading up a new division. Asymmetric warfare development. What does that mean exactly? Elena asked. Hernandez's expression hardened. It means we're going to fight dirty. The next 24 hours saw humanity unite as never before in history. Ancient rivals shared military secrets, private corporations opened their research databases, and scientists worldwide collaborated in a desperate race against time. The information provided by Ambassador Lyirthal proved invaluable. Though Harmony Federation vessels wouldn't fight, their knowledge of Kraz systems was extensive. Elena's new command center buzzed with activity as engineers and military strategists from 40 nations worked side by side. The basic approach was simple. Identify weaknesses in Kraz technology and exploit them using Earth's limited resources. The execution, however, was anything but simple. Their shield harmonics fluctuate in a pattern, explained Dr. Miriam Cohen, studying the simulation results. It's subtle, but there's a microsecond vulnerability every 4.7 seconds. Can we exploit that? Elena asked. Dr. Zhang Wei, China's top weapons designer, nodded. Theoretically, we'd need precisely timed, synchronized attacks from multiple vectors. Nothing in their experience would prepare them for it. Their targeting systems rely on predictive algorithms, added Colonel Namdi Okafor. They expect logical, optimal movement patterns because that's how their minds work. Elena leaned over the display. And if we don't move logically? Exactly, Namdi grinned. Random course changes, seemingly irrational maneuvers. Their targeting computers would struggle to compensate. A spark of hope ignited in Elena's chest. How quickly can we implement these strategies? That's the problem, Miriam said. According to Ambassador Lyerthal, the Harmony Federation would need at least 60 days to adapt their defensive technologies to new parameters. We don't have 60 days, Alina said. We have 18 hours before their ultimatum expires. The room fell silent until Dr. Kapoor, who had been quietly working in the corner, looked up from his tablet. What if we don't need to adapt their technology? He asked. What if we build our own? That's impossible, Zhang objected. We don't have the manufacturing capability or the theoretical understanding to. We don't need to understand it all, Sanjay interrupted, his eyes bright with the fever of inspiration. We just need to understand enough. Look at how our ancestors adapted. They didn't fully comprehend how fire worked, but they used it. They didn't understand metallurgy at a molecular level, but they forged steel. He pulled up a schematic on the main display. We take Harmony defensive principles, strip them down to the bare minimum, and rebuild using Earth materials and manufacturing techniques. It won't be elegant, but it will work. How can you be sure? Alina asked. Sanjay's face was grim with determination. Because it has to. As the deadline approached, Earth prepared for the worst. Billions sought shelter in underground facilities and remote areas, while hastily assembled defense forces took up positions around the globe. The plan was desperate, ingenious, and thoroughly human. On the orbital command station, Alina watched as the countdown timer reached 0. The massive Kraz warship began moving toward Earth, its weapons systems powering up. All units, this is Commander Reyes, she broadcast to the defense force. Hold positions and maintain communication silence until my mark. The Kraz ship entered high Earth orbit, sensors sweeping the planet. Smaller craft began to deploy from its hangar base, strike vessels preparing for the promised demonstration attacks. Alina took a deep breath. Dr. Kapoor, are we ready? Behind her, Sanjay nodded, his fingers dancing across the control panel of what his team had dubbed the human solution. A hybrid system that combined Harmony defensive principles with Earth's unique approach to warfare. Defense grid is online, he confirmed. But Alina, this has never been tested outside simulation. Neither was fire the first time someone used it, she replied, echoing his earlier point. Then she opened the global command channel. All units, Operation Prometheus is go. I repeat, Prometheus is go. Across the planet, and in near-Earth orbit, thousands of seemingly primitive human craft launched simultaneously. The Kraz would soon discover that humanity, when backed into a corner, was capable of things that the galaxy had never seen before, and would never forget. The human factor. War Commander Drac stared at the tactical display with growing confusion. The primitive human vessels surrounding his fleet were executing maneuvers that defied all established combat doctrine. Their movements appeared random, even chaotic, small craft spinning and tumbling through space in patterns his targeting computers struggled to predict. Lock weapons and eliminate them, he ordered, mandibles clicking in irritation. Attempting, Commander, his weapons officer replied, but their erratic flight paths are causing targeting difficulties. They're primitives, Drac snapped. Their technology is barely functional. How difficult can it be to? A proximity alarm blared through the command deck. One of the human craft had somehow slipped through their defensive screen and was now on a collision course with the flagship's starboard weapons array. Impossible, Drac whispered as the tiny vessel impacted. The resulting explosion was far larger than anything a craft that size should have been capable of producing. Alarms wailed as system after system reported damage. Somehow, the primitive human weapon had bypassed their shields entirely. Status report, Drac demanded. Starboard weapons array disabled. His second-in-command reported, voice tight with shock. Shield generators functioning at 67% capacity. We're detecting multiple breaches in similar patterns across the fleet. On Earth, in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Alina watched the tactical display with a mixture of hope and disbelief. Operation Prometheus was working better than anyone had dared to dream. The electromagnetic pulse warheads are penetrating their shields, Dr. Kapoor confirmed, studying the incoming data. The synchronization is working. Our weapons are hitting precisely during the shield harmonic fluctuations. And our pilots? Elena asked. Colonel Okafor grinned fiercely, making the Kraz targeting systems look like antique technology. These fighter jocks have been training their whole lives for unpredictable maneuvers. They're born for this. Elena nodded. What the Kraz and even the Harmony Federation had failed to understand was that human pilots didn't think like computers. They didn't always take the optimal path. They improvised. They took risks. They did things that made no logical sense until the moment they worked. Sir, Lieutenant Khan reported, we're receiving a transmission from the Harmony observation vessel. Ambassador Lyerthal is requesting to speak with you urgently. Put him through, Elena ordered. The crystalline figure of the ambassador appeared on screen, his colors shifting rapidly between blues and violets, the Harmony equivalent of extreme agitation. Commander Reyes, his translator conveyed, what we are witnessing is unprecedented. How have you adapted our defensive concepts so quickly and in ways we never considered possible? Elena allowed herself a small smile. We didn't try to replicate your technology, Ambassador. We reimagined it based on our capabilities and needs. Human engineering at its finest. We make do with what we have. But the shield harmonics vulnerability, that's a theoretical concept our best scientists have debated for centuries. You identified and exploited it in days. Necessity, Ambassador, Elena replied simply. It's amazing what humans can accomplish when our survival depends on it. In the research facility beneath Geneva's Lake Observatory, Dr. Magdalene worked feverishly to unlock the next phase of Earth's defensive strategy. Her team had been given a seemingly impossible task: reverse engineer Kraz propulsion technology using only sensor data and theoretical models. The quantum field manipulation is beyond our current understanding, argued Dr. Everett, her American colleague. We'd need decades just to build the tools to properly analyze it. Mai shook her head, her eyes never leaving the simulation running on her holographic display. We don't need to understand it completely. We just need to understand it enough to disrupt it. She highlighted a pulsing pattern in the data stream. Look here. Their drives generate a quantum field that creates a localized distortion in space-time. But the field isn't uniform. It has a resonance frequency. Like the shield harmonics, Everett said, understanding dawning on his face. Exactly, Mai confirmed. And if we can identify that frequency, we can disrupt it. Everett was already reaching for his tablet, fingers flying across the surface. A targeted burst of energy at precisely the right frequency could collapse their field entirely. Stranding them in normal space, Mai finished, where our conventional weapons would be more effective. She activated the secure communication channel to command. Commander Reyes, I think we found a way to ground these birds. 3 days after the initial engagement, humanity launched its second coordinated attack against the Kraz fleet. While the invaders had adapted their shields to prevent the same vulnerability from being exploited, they hadn't anticipated humans finding a completely different angle of attack. Elena watched from the command center as Earth's makeshift navy deployed Dr. Lin's quantum anchors, devices that broadcast a precisely modulated energy pulse designed to disrupt Kraz drive systems. Quantum anchors deployed and activating, reported Lieutenant Khan. On the tactical display, the effect was immediate and dramatic. Kraz vessels suddenly found themselves unable to maneuver at faster-than-light speeds, limiting their tactical options and preventing them from escaping to safety. They're trapped, Elena observed. Now for Phase 2. Across Earth's orbit, human vessels that had been hiding behind debris and satellites suddenly activated, launching a coordinated attack from multiple vectors. Unlike the previous engagement, these weren't aimed at exploiting shield harmonics. The Kraz had already adapted to that tactic. Instead, They targeted the now vulnerable propulsion systems, communications arrays, and weapon emplacements with surgical precision. War Commander Drac watched in growing horror as his fleet's advantages were systematically neutralized. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "No species adapts this quickly." His tactical officer had no answer. Nothing in Kraz military history had prepared them for an enemy that could evolve its strategies and capabilities almost overnight. An enemy that seemed to thrive on being outmatched and disadvantaged. "Commander," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the human command." "Put it through," Drac ordered, mandibles tight with fury. Commander Elena Reyes appeared on screen, her expression calm but resolute. "War Commander Drac, your forces are now effectively neutralized in Earth orbit. We are offering you one opportunity to withdraw your remaining vessels and return to Kraz space. Refuse, and we will demonstrate our power on your flagship." The audacity of it. These primitives using his own ultimatum language against him sent Drac into a rage. "You dare threaten the might of the Kraz Dominion. Your species is nothing. A momentary annoyance that will be remembered only as a footnote in our glorious expansion." Elena's expression didn't change. "We've studied your history, Commander. 12 worlds conquered in the past decade, all of them peaceful, technologically advanced civilizations that followed the Harmony Federation model of development. None of them fought back effectively because none of them understood warfare the way humans do." She leaned closer to the camera. "Humanity's history is written in blood, Commander. For thousands of years, we've fought each other with increasing ingenuity and devastation. Every technology we've ever developed has been adapted for warfare. Every strategy tested and refined through centuries of conflict. And now," she continued, "we've turned all of that hard-won experience toward defending ourselves from you. We're not like the other worlds you've conquered. We don't think like you. We don't fight like you. And we will never, ever surrender." In the Harmony Federation observation vessel, Ambassador Lyerthal and a delegation of representatives from 17 different species watched the exchange with growing amazement. The humans, a species that had achieved spaceflight barely a century ago, were not only holding their own against one of the galaxy's most feared military powers, but were actually driving them back. "This defies all predictive models," said the Gen representative, her insectoid form trembling slightly. "We estimated humans would need at least 40 standard years to develop effective countermeasures to Kraz technology. We failed to account for the human factor," Lyerthal replied, his crystalline form pulsing with excited colors. "Their adaptive capacity under extreme pressure is remarkable." The Movan delegate, a being of living plasma contained within an environmental suit, moved closer to the view screen. "They fight differently than any species we've encountered. No logical patterns, no predictable tactics. It's as if they're inventing warfare anew with each engagement." "That is precisely what they're doing," Lyerthal confirmed. "Human history is unique among spacefaring civilizations. Most species achieve technological advancement through cooperation and the elimination of conflict. Humans achieved it despite constant warfare, or perhaps in some ways, because of it." "A dangerous species," observed the Gen. "A necessary one," countered Lyerthal. "The Federation Council must reconsider its non-intervention policy. The humans have proven what many of us have long suspected. The Kraz Dominion can be stopped, but not through conventional means." In her private quarters, Alina reviewed the day's developments with Admiral Hernandez and Dr. Kapoor. The Kraz fleet had withdrawn to the outer solar system, regrouping while they assessed their losses and recalibrated their approach. It was a temporary victory, but a significant one. "They'll be back," Hernandez said, stating the obvious, "and they'll have adapted to our current tactics." "So will we," Alina replied. Dr. Kapoor's team is already analyzing the data from today's engagement. Dr. Lin believes she can push the quantum anchor technology further, potentially developing a weapon that could disable Kraz vessels entirely, rather than just preventing FTL travel. And Ambassador Lyerthal has indicated that several Federation species are reconsidering their stance on non-intervention, added Dr. Kapoor. Our defense has impressed them. Hernandez nodded slowly. The galaxy is watching us. What happens here will determine more than just Earth's fate. It's already changing interstellar politics, Elena agreed. The Harmony Federation has built its entire civilization around the belief that advanced species naturally outgrow warfare. We're proving that combat experience has value they never considered. A troubling thought, Dr. Kapoor murmured. Are we becoming what we're fighting? Elena considered this. No, we're fighting to protect ourselves and any other worlds the Kraz would target. The difference is choice. We don't want this war, but we will finish it. Her tablet chimed with an incoming message. It was from Dr. Lin. Her face flushed with excitement. Commander, you need to see this immediately. We've been analyzing the debris from the damaged Kraz vessels, and we found something extraordinary. What is it? Elena asked. Their quantum drive technology. We've identified a fundamental principle that the Harmony Federation never discovered. It's completely different from their approach to faster-than-light travel. Can we use it? Hernandez leaned into frame. Dr. Lin's smile widened. Better than that, Admiral. We can improve it. If my calculations are correct, we could develop a hybrid propulsion system that combines Harmony and Kraz principles, something entirely new. How long? Elena asked. Under normal circumstances, decades, with global cooperation and the survival of our species at stake. Lin shrugged. 2 weeks, maybe 3. As the call ended, Admiral Hernandez shook his head in amazement. 2 weeks to develop technology that should take decades. Sometimes I forget what humans are capable of when properly motivated. The Kraz are about to get a reminder, Elena replied. And it's one the galaxy will never forget. A new dawn. The Kraz High Command facility orbiting their homeworld of Prakora was in chaos. War Commander Drax stood rigidly before the Council of Nine, the Empire's highest authority, as the recording of his fleet's retreat from Earth played on the massive display behind him. Explain this failure, demanded High Commander Vex, the eldest and most decorated of the Nine. Drax's mandibles clicked nervously. The humans, they do not respond as expected. Their technological adaptation rate exceeds all known parameters for a pre-coalition species. They are primitives, hissed another counselor. Barely a century into spaceflight. How can they pose any threat to the might of the Dominion? That is precisely what makes them dangerous, Drax replied. They think differently. Their approach to warfare defies conventional doctrine. They identified vulnerabilities in our systems that our engineers insisted were theoretical at best. High Commander Vex leaned forward. You sound almost impressed, War Commander. Concerned, Drax corrected quickly. The humans have already demonstrated the ability to neutralize our shield and propulsion advantages. Given more time, they may develop further countermeasures. Then they must not be given more time, Vex declared. The reinforcement fleet will depart immediately. We will commit 12 capital ships and their support vessels to this operation. Earth will be subjugated or sterilized. There is no third option. Drax bowed his head in acknowledgement, but a cold feeling settled in his thorax. Somehow, he suspected that even 12 capital ships might not be enough. On Earth, the global war effort had transformed human civilization in ways no one could have predicted. Ancient enemies now worked side by side, sharing resources and knowledge without hesitation. Private corporations had opened their research databases and manufacturing facilities for the common defense. Scientists who once competed for grants and recognition now collaborated around the clock. In the heart of this unprecedented cooperation was the Prometheus complex, a massive research and development facility built beneath the Himalayan mountains. Here, the brightest minds from every corner of the globe worked to advance human technology, using the principles gleaned from both Harmony and Kraz sources. Elena walked through the cavernous main laboratory, marveling at what humanity had accomplished in just 3 weeks. Prototype vessels incorporating hybrid technology stood in various stages of completion. Engineers and scientists from dozens of countries moved with purpose, speaking a common language of mathematical formulas and technical specifications. Impressive, isn't it? Dr. Madeline appeared beside her, dark circles under her eyes betraying her exhaustion. We've compressed centuries of development into days. How close are we? Elena asked, nodding toward the largest prototype, a sleek vessel unlike anything humans had built before. The Aurora is ready for field testing, Mag replied with pride. The hybrid drive works exactly as theorized. Better, actually. It's more efficient than either the Harmony or Kraz systems alone. Elena raised an eyebrow. How is that possible? Synergy, Mag explained. The Harmony approach to quantum mechanics focuses on harmonic resonance, while the Kraz method emphasizes field compression. Neither civilization fought to combine them because their development paths never crossed in that way. But humans, she smiled. We're natural synthesizers. We see connections others miss. Before Elena could respond, her comm unit chimed. Commander Reyes, came Lieutenant Khan's urgent voice. Long-range sensors have detected multiple Kraz signatures entering the solar system. Massive energy readings, far larger than the previous fleet. Elena's expression hardened. How long do we have? At their current velocity, 18 hours until they reach Earth orbit. Tell Admiral Hernandez I'm on my way, Elena said, already moving toward the exit. And Dr. Lin. It looks like Aurora will get her field test sooner than expected. The Emergency Council session was brief and to the point. Earth's defenders had 18 hours to prepare for an assault far greater than the first. Ambassador Lyerthal provided what intelligence the Harmony Federation had gathered about the incoming fleet. 12 capital ships, the crystalline alien reported, his colors subdued. The Dominion has never committed such forces to a single conquest before. They intend to make an example of Earth. Then we'll make an example of them. Admiral Hernandez replied grimly. Commander Reyes, what's our status? Elena activated the tactical display. The Aurora is operational, along with 6 smaller vessels using the same hybrid technology. Dr. Lin's team has also developed what they're calling phased disruptors, weapons designed to target multiple vulnerabilities in Kraz systems simultaneously. Not enough, muttered the Russian defense minister. Not against 12 capital ships. Numbers aren't everything, Elena countered. We've analyzed the Kraz battle doctrine extensively. They rely on overwhelming force and predictable enemy responses. We'll give them neither. She outlined the defense plan, a multi-layered strategy that combined Earth's conventional forces with their new technological developments and several tactics that would have seemed suicidal under normal circumstances. This is our home, she concluded. Every human on this planet understands what's at stake. We've spent our entire history fighting, mostly each other, admittedly, but that experience has prepared us for this moment. The Kraz expect us to behave like every other species they've conquered. We won't. As the council dispersed to their respective commands, Ambassador Lyerthal approached Elena privately. Commander Reyes, there is something you should know. Elena paused. What is it, Ambassador? The crystalline alien's colors shifted uncertainly. The Harmony Federation Council has reconsidered its position on non-intervention. While they will not commit military forces directly, several member species have authorized the transfer of advanced defensive technologies to Earth. Elena's eyes widened slightly. That's a significant policy shift. The first in over 5,000 years, Lyerthal confirmed. Your species' defense has impressed many who previously viewed humans as primitive and unpredictable. They see now that those very qualities might be what the galaxy needs to counter the Kraz threat. Better late than never, Elena replied, unable to keep a touch of bitterness from her voice. Will these technologies arrive in time to help with the coming battle? Unfortunately, no. But should Earth survive this assault, you will not face future threats alone. Elena nodded, understanding the unspoken message. The galaxy was watching, and the outcome of this battle would determine more than just Earth's fate. It would reshape the political landscape of the entire Harmony Federation. 16 hours later, the Aurora slipped silently through the void of space, its revolutionary hybrid drive leaving no energy signature for Kraz sensors to detect. From the command chair, Alina watched as the massive Kraz armada approached Earth, their formation precisely as Harmony Intelligence had predicted. 12 capital ships surrounded by smaller support vessels, arranged in the classic spear-tip configuration that had brought down civilizations across the galaxy. All systems nominal, reported Major Zhang, the Aurora's engineering officer. Phase disruptors charged and ready. Stealth systems functioning perfectly, added Lieutenant Commander Okafor from Tactical. The Kraz don't see us, or any of our other vessels. Alina nodded, then opened the secure channel to Earth Command. Admiral Hernandez, Aurora is in position. Operation Thunderbolt is go. Acknowledged, Commander, came Hernandez's steady reply. Earth Defense Forces are ready. Good hunting. Alina took a deep breath, looking around at the bridge crew, men and women from a dozen different nations, all united in purpose. Let's remind these bullies why you don't pick a fight with humans. Execute attack pattern Alpha. The Aurora surged forward, its revolutionary drive engaging with none of the telltale energy flares that would have betrayed a conventional ship's position. 5 other human vessels deployed from hidden positions around the solar system, converging on the Kraz fleet from multiple vectors. On the Kraz flagship, War Commander Drac was puzzled by the lack of visible defenses. Where are their vessels? He demanded. Long-range scans show nothing but primitive satellites and debris. Perhaps they have surrendered, Commander, suggested his second-in-command. Drac's mandibles clicked in doubt. No, they're planning something. Increase shield power and maintain formation. The warning came too late. Without appearing on any Kraz sensor, the Aurora materialized directly beneath the flagship's ventral armor, phase disruptors firing in a precisely coordinated sequence that bypassed the ship's shields entirely. Direct hits on their primary power distribution nodes, Okafor reported with satisfaction. Their shields are fluctuating. And down. Secondary targets locked. Similar reports came in from the other human vessels as they executed their own precision strikes against the surprised Kraz fleet. It was chaos. The invaders had expected a conventional defense and found themselves instead under attack from vessels they couldn't detect until the moment they fired. On the Kraz flagship, alarms wailed as system after system failed. Impossible. Drac roared. How are they bypassing our shields? Where are they coming from? Unknown, Commander, his tactical officer replied, mandibles trembling in fear. Their vessels.